tools right now. Okay, so I'm passing it to Nico.
Yeah. I have to say I'm in holidays right now, so I haven't followed the Google I/O and also the Microsoft keynotes. But I think with most of the AI announcements I've heard in the last, well, let's say most of the announcements that I've heard in the past years from those keynotes they all sound like really cool ideas, but it has always been hard to then test them in like the real world. Um, I don't know, and with a lot of the AI announcements, I kind of feel the same. It's super easy to use Cursor to build a small app, but it has always been works well. But to then scale it, to have more developers, to have a bigger application away from just them in like small demo prototype, I haven't seen that many products that have been built solely with AI. So I'm very curious to see, apart from the demo stuff, what will be possible with AI. So for me, I mostly use AI to support my daily work. Um, if it's if it's simple stuff that I otherwise had to just go to Stack Overflow to find the regex for email validation and so on and so forth, that's stuff where I use AI quite often. But if it comes to the whole structure, architecture of the project, I mean, I will ask AI to give me ideas, but I will still write that myself, if that makes sense. But yeah, back to the question. It's not actually related to the latest announcements, but yeah, we will see where this will go. Yeah, maybe Tejas?
Yeah, the announcements. Nico, your response was so like European, and and I love it's so balanced.
Fuck.
It's like it's so in
I'm
contrast.
sorry.
No, it's good. I mean, in contrast, like to the U.S. hype, it's like, oh my God, this changes everything. Wow, like I love the European energy. Is just like, honestly, I haven't really seen anything in production, but we'll see.
Sorry.
No, it's good. We need that. It brings balance.
Yeah.
I think for me it's similar, but I find it interesting that
Or we might have lost your
Yeah.
connection, Tejas. Let's give you a couple of seconds. Let's see if it comes back. Okay. We can come back to you. Are you back, Tejas? Okay. Let's go over then to you, Burak. What's your take?
Okay, let me continue with European perspective because I kind of share the same thing. I can say that so of course nowadays I'm using AI a lot. Most of us are using it a lot, not just for work, also for daily lives, and it's really improving my work life a lot. Some of the tasks that are not something creative, it can be done with AI very quickly. And like I've been using for the last week, I've been using this new IDE called Windsurf, and it's quite impressive. Also, I can say that it's kind of right. I kind of chat to AI right now, and AI is kind of handling things for me. But for me, I also try to not to get into the hype train too much because getting into hype train very quickly and building everything with according to this a hype train is a bit risky in my personal opinion. So and also as my talk that I will be giving in JS Nation, I'm also a bit concerned about the sustainability part of AI, which is quite improving nowadays, which is a good news. I can say that there are some good plans, some nuclear power support and stuff. This is not related to that question, but in the general perspective, I'm trying to use as much as possible, but I'm also trying to be cautious about it. I think jumping in the hype train would be a bit harmful. And yeah, I think Tejas is back. Maybe I can give the mic back to him.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, my connection was bad. Definitely didn't intend to just like say Nico's so European and then leave. No, but so what I was saying was, I think it's important to balance, and I think we think too much about developers and development. But really, if we look at the announcements from, for example, Google's VO3, which it can make ads, it can make videos, it can make movies where people like actually talk, right? That's kind of crazy. And so, indeed, it hasn't been proven in software. I haven't seen like an application, to Nico's point, I haven't seen an application that's like fully vibe coded that is in production and like making billions. But we may start to see videos and ads like that, especially like 30-second clips. It can make that very easily. And so I think the latest announcements are disruptive, and that's a good thing. We want disruption. But we need to preserve the human taste, though. In terms of software specifically, I agree with everybody else. It's just not. It's not where it should be. And frankly, I don't know why we're trying so hard to create coding agents when there's a whole world out there who doesn't need coding agents, but who needs just help. Help booking an Uber, help ordering groceries, help deciding what to have for dinner, help booking movie tickets, help booking air. These problems are common to like every person who lives in it with access to the internet, right? They want to like go on the internet and do stuff. Why don't we have agents for that? You know, the focus, the disproportionate focus on developers, I think is, or replacing developers, I think is kind of weird. But that's kind of my take. There's a lot of, like Google announced Jules, that's supposed to be this like coding agent thing that replaces engineers. I haven't yet seen an app shipped with it to believe it. Yeah, that's kind of my take on these announcements. So a lot of it is just like hype, I think. And to speak very, I'd say, candidly, I'll believe it when I see it. But right now, it's a really great co-pilot. Like I use AI to assist me every day. For example, I have a very complicated set of logic that I'm working on in an app I'm building right now, and I have like 8 layers of nested ternary operations. And I'm just like, hey, do these look right to cursor? And it helps. So it's great as a co-pilot, but I think nothing more.
There's a lot of threads that we can pull on that that statement, and I believe I hope we're gonna get time to because they are all very relevant. Let's now give Manoj the space to hear his take. Let's see.
Hey, just maintaining the American energy here. Yeah, but I still resonate with what Tejas and other folks are mentioning, that there is a huge investment in coding agents, which I feel is more of an what do you say, Copilot right now, and I use most of it for like tests or some of the repeated tasks, which I feel it is grunt work. But when it comes to creative coding, I feel I code faster than prompting an agent and trying to get a code out of it. So yeah, I would say like there should be a balance in the number of developer coding tools we are currently coming up with. But again, like there are few tools which I really like where they could provide like real-time reviews and PR reviews and other things essentially, which people are developing. So those tools would give like reduced developer load on these reviews and other workflows. But again, like you should still put that human touch wherever necessary to uh, look at the nuances and other aspects of this essentially. So yeah.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
Evangelia.
Okay, hi folks. Let me split it into what it does good and what it doesn't do good. Generally, I'm not very much into the vibe coding, so I'm from, I don't know if it's a European, non-European league here. All right, what it does good for me, it's a very great educator on areas to understand what is appendix, you know, like hardcore stuff, which is not my official job on a daily job. It's a very good on creating some internal scripts. I can give you concrete examples because I love listening to examples when we talk about daily tasks. For example, I wrote a small script like to convert icons to React components or to recreate some templates, or sometimes I'm a bit lazy with tests, so I want to generate a boiler template for the test and then to modify it myself, or some debugging. However, it's really, really, really bad at architecture and scalability. The more I interact with it, it learns. It keeps being improved, but by itself, himself, herself, whatever is the gender, there is not enough architectural, free information on the web so that it's being trained on. So that's my experience so far. From product design perspective, because we are talking from engineering perspective, like if we feel comfortable. From product design perspective, the software that we are building will have AI, infused features, and usually these kind of features might be conversational chatbots. They will have smart search filters, and for that we need to include new UX patterns as well. For example, when we all use ChatGPT, we see that it has these thinking moments, like, or the perplexity, it overrides. We show the temporary thinking process. So we need to think also, the product managers, how the future UX will look like. And then the technicalities, we need to map and use the respective technologies that will be real-time communication friendly. So that's my stake on the topic. Yeah. Not production ready, but we need to refine the skills of how to integrate the prototypes into be scalable and secure as well. So for me, the art is the art of integration. And sometimes I run into circles and I realize, do I worth improving now my communication, or I need to do it myself? So there is a limit between how much we need to be helped and when we do it faster. So for me, this is the tricky part. Yeah.
Yeah, I share a lot of the sentiments here. So for me, my perspective is, first is it will have different uses for everyone. So everyone here should definitely experiment with building, using it, as a co-pilot or coding assistant, whatever editor you prefer. But like, use it and see where it fails. I tried the whole Jesus take the wheel kind of approach with letting it do its thing and vibe code it to see where it goes. But in the end, understanding how the technology works will really improve the output that you get. So in order to take the most out of it, I feel like you need to understand that it's simply trying to predict the next token based on what the context it has. So if you feed some insights first, and bring the right framing, it can generate better output. So let's then, I guess, segue into this kind of experiences. So for Nico, we have some people here that have had experiences, right? Minko, you said that you had tried it for generating Angular apps, and I'm actually very curious to hear on that perspective, because there is a I wouldn't say consensus, but a general feeling that it's very biased towards React. So I'm very curious to hear about that. But like, for instance, one of the things that I've done before with this is to try and frame it to generate things that are, or try and generate interactions that are novel. One of the things that it tends to do is, of course, lean to the most common output. So if you're trying to generate v0 output, and if you're trying to generate lovable whatever, it will end up generating interfaces and outputs that are on a medium path that's normal distribution. So how do you feel like you can help it understand better Angular or your tools of preference? How do you feel like this kind of generations can be improved?
Did you ask me about Angular? Is that right?
Oh, sorry, no.
Because,
Yeah, it was from Minko, but we can also open on the same order.
No, the thing is, I don't use Angular. I use React most of the times. So maybe that was a...
Oh, no, it was to Minko, sorry. No, it was not to you, sorry.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, I work on Angular. Yeah, so one of the things, by the way, I share a lot of the sentiment, maybe because I'm also European. I live in the US, but I'm from Eastern Europe, so we tend to be a little reserved. And just to make a very quick comment from what folks said previously, why do we have so many tools for developers? My intuition is the same that reason why we have so many JavaScript frameworks, because we're like we're developers and we think that we know the problems that other developers are facing and we try to solve them with whatever we have. And on making sure that you generate proper, like, good code, I definitely agree. Like, all LLMs are definitely biased towards React. There is so much React code on the internet, and they're generating mostly React code if you ask them to build a React, if you ask them to build a web application. And with other frameworks, they still do well, I'd say. They can generate a little bit like older syntax. Sometimes they can even generate incompatible syntax, because the LLM has some perception of versioning, but like not necessarily all the time. Like, it might generate an application that is using, I don't know, Angular or React 19 and use APIs that were deprecated in previous versions. I've been experimenting in like multiple different ways to fix that. Like, as you said, also providing like a good context and a good prompt can help, where you provide examples for the latest syntax of the framework that you would like to use for the application generation. I was experimenting, also built a framework that is somewhat optimized for large language models. It is a very small framework, minimalistic syntax, mostly optimized for adding code, not that much for refactoring. And it has, as I mentioned, very small syntax. I'm actually passing it as part of the context window. But I don't know if that's necessarily the right way to go. I mean, not that there is one right way, but if we would like to generate code that is also human readable and uses well-recognized technologies, I'd say just providing good examples, writing good documentation, and having like good like context that uses the style that you would like to use. That's the easiest way that I've discovered so far.
Okay, let me phrase the question on a broader spectrum for the rest of the speakers. So let's zoom out a bit. So I guess let's take it on a higher level. How have you approached the tools in a way that you felt like it got you the best output there? I will give you an example. So when working on the agent I'm writing, one of the things that I wanted was to create a different kind of experience, with leaning more on the power of the agents and generative UI, and also, of course, trying to build something that's less complex and has less noise. Because of that, right? I can generate UI on the fly. So I ended up using V0 as some form of, you can call it like a iteration sketchpad. So quick iterations, because you generate so quickly. So, iterating over different experiences and different styles or even architectures. And it felt like I could, narrow down to experiences that I wanted a lot quicker. And from there, you grab the best pieces and you refactor to your liking in your code base. And then you have something as a starting point where you can start, feeding context to the LLM. So with that perspective, what kind of usages and how have you felt like you became, you took more or rather better, output out of the tools? We can go in the same order. So let's say, I guess now it's Nico, right?
I would say it's all about context. If you tell the LLM what frameworks you use, I mean, I most of the time I use ChatGPT to just talk about the project, and there in the if you have a project, you can have like your setup, basic stuff about the project, and in there I will just paste the content of my package JSON, all the packages I use right now. So it has each question I ask, it already has the context of what frameworks, what libraries, and all of that I use. So just provide as much context as possible, and it makes it easier for the LLM to really understand what's best in your use case and not in a general use case.
Good stuff. I guess we can move to Tejas now.
Yeah. Just to make sure I understand the question and deliver a high quality answer, the question is how can we best use these tools, right? In our work. Did I capture that
Yeah,
right?
but like, yeah, exactly. Like, what has been your preferred way of trying to get the most value out of
Yeah, that's a
the
great
items?
question. There's two ways concretely for me. One is if I'm asked or if I have an idea to do something and I don't know where to start, then I quickly will pop over to Perplexity and just ask like, hey, I want to do this thing. I want to deploy a Docker container on DigitalOcean. How do I do it? And I'll get the latest synthesis of information based on all the latest internet stuff today. So it's just like a shortcut. Instead of going myself and reading like 18 different Stack Overflow pages, I have the AI do that for me and just summarize the info. That's massively helpful. So that's one thing that I do. And then the other thing is I prefer to write the code myself because honestly, like I know what vibe coding means, but let me say this: coding is a vibe for me, even without AI. I just enjoy like the vibe of coding, and so I love writing code manually. And so while I'm writing code manually, oftentimes there are times where I need to shift my context and sometimes lose my context, and I would lose my context without AI. There are times where I need to write some regular expression to validate an email address that I would then, okay, now let me leave the editor, go to Google, type in this, and then go to Stack Overflow. And the way I use AI, especially Cursor now, is when I code up to the line where I'm having trouble with some regular expression or something, then and there, I'll press Command K, and I'll just be like, write the regular expression. I won't even say which regular expression because it will know from context what I want. And sometimes I just like press Command K in Cursor and I just say, write it, and I hit enter, and usually it writes exactly what I need. And then I continue without any context switching. So these two things for me are absolutely massive. And honestly, that's legitimately the only way that AI coding agents and assistants are valuable to me. All of this, like I'm going to generate an entire app end to end with an agent, has backfired on me multiple times. For example, it will create applications with massive security holes. That's one thing. Second thing is it creates applications, and then past a certain number of prompts, it starts creating like absolute nonsense. And then when you say no, 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 go back, it just deletes everything. Uh, so it's the source of more pain than pleasure. And so really those two things I mentioned at the beginning are for me the best way to use coding agents, and they deliver real value to me every single day.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Guess now we have Burak next. Let's hear it.
So for me, two examples are coming to my mind. The first example is I'm a person who believes that everybody should have test cases in their repository, but I need to confess something. I hate writing test cases. But in JavaScript, I think there's one BT. There is multiple ways. Like you can have 10 or 100 ways to do something, and all of them will work. But this is also creating this problem when you ask something to AI. AI will give solutions to you in very different ways because we don't have one way to fix it. I think it's much more creative in compared to backend when you're coding in front end with JavaScript. So when you ask AI to say that, oh, I have this file, can you create test cases for me? You can do that. You can give RTL, you can give some context, but it will, like, for me, all of the results that I'm getting, they were not satisfying me at all. I was like, even wasting more time to fix those test cases. But then I started to do something like this. I'm just selecting a test case that I implemented before, like a test file, let's say, or it can be something else. And then I'm providing this before asking something. I said that, okay, see, I have an example for you, and I want you to study this one. And then it studies. And then I said that, oh, here, a new file. Please keep the things that you studied from the past message, and then create me a test file which is following the same patterns, and then it gives me really optimized and really well working. Sometimes I don't even need to fix anything, and it directly saves me like a couple of hours of work in such cases. I think this is a great optimization. Just like give what's the ideal and then ask for a new output. And the same thing happened for me. I have a side project that I'm working on in myself. So since I'm just working by myself, I don't have any backend. Sometimes I don't even need to be, and I hate coding backend, but I need to implement some APIs. So I was trying to ask AI to write some endpoints for me. I'm asking for one endpoint, it's working fine. Then I'm asking for the second endpoint, but they're inconsistent because the first endpoint is using some packages, second one is using some different methods to do that. And then this was creating lots of issues for me because I had to download lots of packages, which that didn't make sense at all. It wasn't consistent. So I did the same trick actually. I had one project downloaded in my repository, and I quite liked the endpoints. The output was good. I don't know backend too much, so I cannot comment about how well it's implemented, but the output was good enough for me. So I just gave this to my model, and then I said that, okay, see, I have this API implementations here, and then please implement a new output, checking this one, and then it was giving me very consistent and very well working results. And actually, this is how I optimized my use cases, and the rest of it I just code myself. If I know it, I code myself. But if something annoying, just like test cases or something like backend that I don't know, I just feed something and then ask for an output, which is helping me a lot to save some time.
Good stuff, mate. Next one in the list, let's see, Manoj.
Hey, so I want to build on what Burak and Tejas were mentioning in general, like a lot of this context which all of these tools need, and in terms of tests and other things, is very important. And primarily, like let's say you're coding on a specific library and you wanted that library context to be maintained. A lot of these tools like Cursor and others allow you to code tools rules in terms of what libraries to use, what coding style you prefer, and other rules you can primarily mention in Cursor. And this allows you to uh, provide that output from Cursor in a specific style or specific format you need. So that allows you, that primarily worked for me, where I provide that initial context in the tool itself so that whatever outputs I request from it, it usually uses those libraries and those testing paradigms in terms of providing me those tests. So let's say I'm using a specific library for testing the for expect, as well as like some other things. Like I'm just providing an example, but overall that context would be very important for these tools, and this will allow you to personalize them for your coding style and your what do you say, output preferences. And that primarily works for me, at least for generating tests and other aspects of it. Yeah.
Fantastic, mate. Evangelia.
Okay, just to make sure I still remember the question, to mention use cases where I was, let's say, very happy with a tool that it facilitated a lot my work, right?
Whatever tips I get you can give based on your like use cases. How would you do extract the most value out of AI tools?
All right. I will specify completely different use cases. I will start with the easy one. I'm mentoring now students, and it's quite handy for creating coding examples for me. Otherwise, it will take me lots of time to create all the exercises. Of course, I go and refine them, but it is amazing. It's really fast. It helps me generate the exercises very fast. That's one use case, amazingly. Second one, I do have already the platform online, all the UX and the base pages, but I keep expanding now the e-learning platform that I'm building with new pages. So recently, I want to prepare, let's say, the first course page, okay? And for that, I didn't have the time to define the UI UX because I'm a solopreneur for now, I'm doing everything. And I was like, okay, let's now accelerate the pace and not spend a lot of weeks like we used to do, in corporates, the proper life cycle. So what I did, I uploaded my existing screenshots from the existing online platform to Lovable, and within minutes, I was impressed. It created for me an amazing courses page. I was shocked actually. It It was amazing. But why? Because the content was really rich, actually. That was the second case study. Third one, I'm currently building a content operations pipeline. What does it mean? From an MDX file, which is marked down with JSX in a separate GitHub repo, I want to automatize the process of blog creation on the websites and automatically to send it to my newsletter and automatically to send it to other distribution channels, and I will open source it. For that, I needed to refresh my backend knowledge as well, and it was really fast on writing the webhook listeners, the GitHub API integration. Of course, I go and review every single line, but it was quite, it helps with structuring all the GitHub issues, all the roadmap for this mini tool that I'm building. So for this one, it is quite handy. Let's say it's handy when you have 70% of the knowledge of something that you want to build, and it helps you. You are the orchestrator of the new product, and it's really, really great on giving you, the boiler templates, and then you go and verify. It provided by default some validation functions, which was creating really nice for me. So I really built this tool with the help of LLM. So in the past, this would take me months, and now it's done in a couple of weeks. So these are the examples. And for the future, I would like to try out Graph RAG, because I used to be a knowledge graph creator back in London, defining RDF and ontologies. So I want to see how I can implement structural knowledge with ontologies, and how I can enhance the RAG with graph databases. But this is, let's say, for the future idea. Yeah, that's for now.
Fantastic. Yeah, I could sit here and talk quite a while about graphs, and I love that topic and the subject in general. I would love to offer at least a couple of the listeners the chance to ask a question on these last 10 minutes we have. So let's see. We already have 2 requests sent. I'm gonna get in order as they came. So I'm gonna open up for you, Eugene, to ask a question to the panel. You have the mic now, mate. Let me know if you have any if you want to. Let's see. Whilst Eugene is setting up his mic, I see that Tejas has raised the hand. So Tejas, feel free to speak.
I didn't raise a hand. I was just waving to say hi to Eugene and.
Oh, sorry. It's a bit, the emojis. I'm used to see the wave hands, and anyways, cool. Eugene, you have the mic. I have given you speaker privileges. So let me know if. Maybe you can chat on the thread for. Oh, there you go.
Sorry, there's something wrong with my Mac. Nice to meet everyone here in Eugene. I started out engineer, got really lucky with getting my first job, but I see kind of myself more and more through my career as a problem solver. If I may, I had some points, but also I love folks' questions. So is it okay if I speak for about a minute and a half?
Let's try to keep to give more people the chance to talk. But yes, go ahead, and you feel free to ask questions or share your opinions about the topic set.
For background, I've started 2.5 companies. One band that's about 2-3 billion. Then upfront pricing for Uber. For some reason, I was allowed to just run all of that for about 1.5 years. And I'm not gonna keep bragging or name dropping. I just wanted to provide the background for folks. And what I've seen across all of these experiences a lot is especially in the AI era, we've kind of I think it's really important to focus not just on development and like all these things coming at us, but customer problems. So rather asking where say the context for like code, more like what user problem are we solving, and like what's the simplest way to solve it? Does it actually need an LLM? And simplicity is what I've seen as a recurring theme for Uber. Upfront pricing could never go down. And what I really learned from my manager at the time was like he pushed me to make it simpler and simpler and simpler, where it was eventually so simple, and that's why it almost never broke. And I think that also applies for LLMs, for example, for actually creating a lot of code. Most code, Retool Founder is estimated at 50% of all code is CRUD. You can actually code generate most CRUD. That's something I've been working on for like 5-6 years, and finally shipping something with it soon. I'm not going to promote anything here, but I'll stop here. I don't want to hog the mic, but just wanted to contribute that perspective and really finish that. It's really like I'd encourage folks to think about the problem like of the business, the customers, and code being like one of the tools we have in our disposal for it. Thanks for letting me up.
Words to live by, mate. You have any questions you might want to ask to the panel? We can do our best to answer before I hand the mic to the next person that have requested.
Yeah, Minko, maybe I'm curious. Angular, whether like I've used it a really long time ago, like 10 years ago, when it was like Angular versus Ember, and I'm curious, like it does a lot of React that's in some ways like kind of taken over, but a lot of people still use Angular. Like, I'm curious what you think are some things that since then you like Google, you guys have learned from earlier versions of Angular.
Yeah, one thing we learned for sure is that the team didn't do great with branding back in 2016, Angular and AngularJS, and we learned a lot from the breaking changes that we introduced back then. And since then, we've been very careful with migrations, and that's actually an area that is an excellent application of GenAI as well. We can easily perform non-trivial migrations less deterministically, let's say. So just some quick learnings, but there is way more. But like we have 6 minutes remaining, so I'll let someone else ask a question as well.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for your question, mate, and thank you, Minko, for answering it. I have open now to Vinod. I've invited you to come and share with us a bit of your perspective, or if you have any question, feel free to take the mic.
Thanks. I was listening to the conversation earlier about AI coding tools, and I wanted to talk about and share my own experience there. So, bit background, I have 24 years of conventional programming experience. So I have done manual programming like everybody else said. And then for last 5-6 months, I have been trying different coding tools such as Bolt, V0, Lovable, Cursor, and a couple of MCP tool inside Visual Studio. So my initial experience for, let's say, first 30-60 days was similar, where I didn't feel like these are production ready applications. I still don't feel it can be a production ready application, but what I have learned over time is that with your experience, with your practice, you can actually build more sophisticated application. Your prompting increase, your interaction increase. And one thing that has been working really, really well for me, because I have managed developers At one point, I had 40 to 80 developers over time that I have worked with. I am able to treat these AI coding tools as the developer that I have worked with or architect that I have worked with, where I would use um, the think mode or architect mode or conversational mode in these tools and just have talk. I will share my idea, or if I want to change something, or if I want to just talk about my database schema. And that conversation actually is one of the way I was able to experience that these tools can help build more sophisticated application where you're thinking, brainstorming with them, and then asking them to implement that idea. So I wanted to share that perspective that sometime maybe we are limiting ourselves trying and experiencing the power of these tools, but especially the people who have experience with conventional programming, they might be able to take them to the next level.
Yeah, love it. It's good. It's always good to think about, how can you make sure that you extract the most out of the tools and provide better experiences. Let's see, how do we have? Okay, we have another person here on the queue. I'm gonna open, and then I'm gonna get. Oh, hang on. We have 2 minutes left on the time, so instead, apologies for the person in the queue. Sorry. I would love to get closing words from the speakers before we end the space. One of the things that I feel like we are in a time of disruption, and in times of disruption, I've been through times of disruption before on the industry. We've been through, all the way back when Java was, the biggest language, and we had Java applets to work with the interfaces, and JavaScript was just a baby language to today. And in times of disruption, software engineers do what we do best, which is, find ways to innovate with the disruptive technologies and bring better ways of building things, or also, of course, better experiences to users. This is one of those times, and we as engineers do best to not only ourselves, but to the users we are trying to ship things to, by getting to know the technologies and find the best ways to build with them. So this is, I guess, my encouraging words to go try it out and find the best way that you can to ship with it and build with it and build better experiences with it. So with that, I will now open for Minko to give his parting words.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'll definitely I see how CEOs of big companies are creating the sentiment that Gen AI is gonna get software developers out of work, and this is kind of impacting the industry as well, which is unfortunate. I would also propose a little bit more positive perspective. So far, from my experience, Gen AI has actually made me happier at work, removing some of the boring things that I had to do and automating them. A lot of folks during the panel today mentioned how Gen AI is supporting their workflow, and if you can, and probably you just hear that all over again, how the boring things that you used to do now, well, Gen AI can do them for you, and you can focus on the interesting parts of writing code. So that was for me. Nico? A lot of folks during the panel today mentioned how Gen AI is supporting their workflow. And
apologies, Nico, I'm not sure if you're talking or not, but you're muted.
Nico fell asleep.
All over again, how the boring things that you used to do now, well, Gen AI can do them for you.
Why was I okay? No, but no.
Parts of writing.
Yeah, I think I was a bit skeptical in my initial introduction round, but I just want to clarify that I really, really like using AI, and especially what Tejas said about staying in the flow. If I have a question, I have to Google something. It destroys the flow. But having the answer right in the IDE is so much more convenient, and it helps me so much to stay in the flow of just coding. So I really like to use AI in my daily life. And also, I think I know developers who are very against AI, and they are like, I don't want to use that. And they often bring the argument of, hey, all those vibe coding kids, they don't know what they do, blah, blah, blah. And I get both perspectives, but I really think that you should learn how to use AI in the best way that works for you, which means that sometimes it is letting AI help you with ideation processes. Sometimes it is that AI can help you just having some utility functions, or maybe sometimes it is that the AI can write the script that you just don't know how to write a script in Go, or I don't know. So it's more about, it's important that you find the way that works for you to work with AI that makes you more productive, because it will make people more productive and you're just behind if you don't do it.
Great stuff, mate. Thank you. Tejas.
Yeah, just for closing thoughts, I think I agree with everything the previous speakers said. I think it's important to just have a strong sense of balance. And if anyone's feeling afraid of, I don't know AI, I'm missing out, and so on, or maybe people are even being afraid of being replaced by I will say, thankfully, the human appetite for taste will never be satisfied with AI currently, because what AI does is it just repeats things that we've created over and over again. Even the novel stuff that AI creates will never be the same level as human novel because it doesn't have that in the training data. For example, we all nowadays like really unhinged, weird kinds of movies. Like this is not my opinion. This is just objective data. Like movies like Everything Everywhere All at Once, or shows like Beef on Netflix. These are weird. Mickey 17, another movie. These are just weird movies. Can't be created by AI because the director and the creator has taste that hasn't been part of any training data so far. And so I'll end on an optimistic note that human ingenuity can't be replicated because we bias towards things that are unusual and weird. That's what gets us going. And if it's in training data, then it's already too late, you know. And so there's still value in novelty. I think we see this most strongly with OpenAI's acquisition of IO, Johnny Ive's company. Like this was acquired at over $6 billion, and really what they acquired there is Johnny Ive's taste. The market for taste is not going away.
There's a reason why you're a good speaker, mate. Love it. Fantastic. All right. Next up is Burak.
Thanks. So my final words would be much more some words to juniors and new beginners. I know that some people are concerned, and AI is a powerful tool, and so you can ask lots of questions. And I think it's really important to use to learn stuff because I think all of us in this Twitter space who got to this point, we didn't have AI, and we were going to meetups. We were asking lots of questions, and we had this cute phrase before. We were going, and people were coming to us, and we were going to people and saying that I have a stupid question. I think this was a very common phrase for software engineers who were trying to get their first job or something like that. Nowadays, we don't have that one. Everybody's asking their questions to AI, but you should be aware that the things that you learn from AI might not be correct. So please don't be concerned to come and ask your questions. And if someone is judging you when you say that I have a stupid question and still they act you badly and they don't give you proper answers, as humans, just like come to us. We can navigate you to cute people. Just don't fully rely on AI. Continue coming to those meetups and continue asking to community because this how it worked. This was how things worked, and I think it was a great way to learn and grow. Yeah, that's my final thoughts.
Fantastic. Good stuff, mate. Manoj.
Hey. So with all these AI tools and everything, like it is, they are not going away anywhere, right? So using them to your advantage is always better. So I want to close with mentioning that use AI as much as possible to augment your creativity and ensure that you iterate on your ideas, fail fast, and iterate again, so that it helps you quickly bring your creativity to life, and that is what you can use it to your advantage and make sure that you can bring out better tooling and or better products from your ideas and bring them into production. So it may not be production level at this point, but eventually it will. So learning how to do that is very advantageous. So yeah, I think using it in day-to-day life is very important. So that's what I feel. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. Good stuff. Evangelia?
Yes, and from my side, guys, AI, I believe, is here to stay. It just tries to find its exact format. I believe in the power of AI assisted coding, and I want to make it a clear distinction that vibe coding is different from AI assisted coding. I believe in AI assisted coding, which means we know, understand, have control of what's happening. We just are being augmented. While vibe coding, we use human language to create stuff. This could be good for for product managers, for marketers, for people that they want just to mock stuff. So yes, AI is here to stay. Craft your art of communicating with the tools, and the more you also discuss with them, not only writing code, the more that you ask also architectural questions where they lack at the moment, they are forced to think somehow, so they get better on that. So yes, that's my answer.
Very good. Yes, and with that, I guess we can wrap up this space. And I would like to thank you all for coming and listening in, and thank our speakers for sharing their time with us. And thank you all. Have a lovely rest of your afternoon and evening. Take
Hey,
good care,
thank you,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye bye.